Here we go.
Transition? There we go. Good evening. Welcome to episode 25 of Jeremy Makes Stuff. I am trying to see what happened in my video. There we go. I'm back. Welcome to episode 25, Jeremy Makes Stuff. I had a Streamlabs update, got some cool new features, but now I can't find my chat, so let me see if I can pull up a chat window somewhere. I saw there was initially a message from Sajesh saying ... waiting on the show to start, I guess. I'm not sure where the chat ended up. Let's try this. Oh, it wasn't ... it was the thinking face. Cool. Hey Sajesh, how's it going? So I'm gonna dive right in tonight. We have previously we were working on so that you can have the ESP8266 connected to an Arduino to control some motors. Now I didn't break out the Arduino yet. I'm not ready to start wiring things up yet, but I do want to make a plan. Switch over here because there are gonna need a few endpoints, need to map out some things, map out some ideas, and then we can jump into some code. And over the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years at work, I've been used to using jQuery for making AJAX calls, and because this site is being hosted on its own network without any external resources available, like CDNs. So I did a little bit of quick research and found, let's see, this site called You Might Not Need jQuery. And right off the bat, the first thing it looks at is making AJAX calls using the XML HTTP request method object. XML HTTP request object, which it's probably been a decade since I've had to think about that. So this is a pretty cool site here that is going to help out with some boilerplate stuff at least. And it's got here, you know, pulling in JSON, doing a post, doing a get, and there's a bunch of other cool stuff too, like different effects, elements, and things like that. So a lot of neat stuff that normally would have to use, not have to use, but normally I'm used to using a larger library to handle. And the reason originally we're looking at a larger library to do that is because with older versions of Internet Explorer and Chrome and Firefox and whatever, jQuery kind of smoothed out the edges so that whatever code you're writing there wouldn't have so there were a bunch of browser specific problems back then that have basically been corrected over time. But in the meantime, using a library like jQuery or underscore or something else made it easy to bypass those issues. So anyway, that was making a short story long, I guess. I don't want to use a library because I only have so much space on the ESP8266, so I found some resource. Also, earlier in the week, I was doing some stuff on my laptop, and I set it up so that the screen would turn off sooner, and now I don't like that, so I need to adjust that real quick here. When plugged in, don't turn off the screen. Thank you. Okay. So, let's talk about mapping. I'm going to go into PowerPoint. I find PowerPoint kind of gives a canvas with some tools, so it can be fun to, or not necessarily fun, but interesting and a little easier to kind of storyboard some ideas and stuff here. So let's see. I know. So there's kind of two different things going on here, right? There's two different sort of projects. There's the Wi-Fi piano player, and then and then over here is the Wi-Fi finger. So both of these are employing similar strategies to things and similar setup with ESP8266 and some motors and 3D printed finger. So, but that's kind of about where it ends in the look and design and the feel of it. Because where they start to diverge, the Wi-Fi piano player, so it has its own network, right? Oops. It has it hosts a web page that is the main interface for the interactions with the device. But prior to that, what did we say? There was a ESP8266, Arduino, some motors, 3D printed fingers, and over here on the Wi-Fi finger, right, very similar, ESP8266. I don't think that's going to end up needing an Arduino, but it is going to have a motor, and it is going to have a 3D printed finger. But that's, like I said, where the two projects diverge, because this will then need to connect to home network, communicate with a server, some control system, mechanism, whatever, right? Because we want to be able to, it has to know that it's being turned on and off, right? I mean, I've got some smart switches around the house, and they're all, you know, just numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I can tap it here, turn it off on. Like the 3D printer is on right now. I can tap right here, and I just heard it click. It just powered off. I can tap it again. Okay, there it goes. And it'll power back on. So we're gonna do something similar, maybe even eventually interface it with Alexa, you know, or the Amazon Echoes. You could say, Alexa, push the Wi-Fi finger, or whatever. But that's not something that the Wi-Fi piano player would do. So basically it comes down to very similar hardware, but pretty different software. So what I want to do, yeah, so this is basically hardware, right? So here, make that a little thicker. Maybe? Yeah. This is hardware. And that's, like I said, very similar. But and there will be a few other things like some wiring and, you know, power handling and whatever, as far as how it's plugged in and all that kind of stuff. But where it really starts to change up is the software. So with the Wi-Fi piano player, we already have it creating an access point, right? That's good to go. Ish. I'm surprised there's not a check mark in here somewhere. It's just a icon. Yeah, well, whatever. So we can already create an access point and connect to it. It's hosting a web page. Now, need a few things, right? The web page itself need to build some endpoints. And last time we actually got the endpoints working, so you know we have a buffer limit or something. Anytime we got to more than 50 characters being returned to the ESP8266 over the serial connection, it would throw an exception and then reboot itself into the bootloader mode, like it was waiting on a new version of the firmware to come in, a new version of our code. So I did a little bit of research on that, but not too much yet, and basically just kind of decided, well, 50 characters, we can deal with it, even if you have to change to, like, instead of sending messages back and forth. It could be, you know, encoded base 62 or whatever to communicate. But then I thought I changed that. Oh, it's because I don't have the power plugged in. But then I was talking to some friends on Slack, in one of the Slack channels I'm in, and somebody mentioned, well, which version of the ESP8266 firmware is it running? And that's a very good question. I've had this particular Node MCU for probably 2 or 3 years, and I know I never updated the firmware on it, so, I mean, you didn't, did you? You didn't update my firmware, so that may be something to look into. There may be a bug in an older version of the firmware that is running on here, but anyway, that's neither here nor there right now. Just some other, you know, tidbit that's running in there. So we need to create endpoints for the Wi-Fi finger. That's pretty close to it. Basically, it needs to have some loop, right? Like while true, do some stuff, and in there it will basically connect to the server and then ask, is there a new instruction? And then act on instruction. And it'll kind of loop through there, right? So it'll connect to the server, and this would be, I don't know, once every 10 seconds or once every 5 seconds or whatever, right? It's going to loop through, connect to the server. Is there a new instruction? No. Then it just waits and then checks again. Is there a new instruction? No. Then it waits. Is there a new instruction? Yes. And then, okay, well, what is this instruction? Trigger the motor, and then it pushes the button. And then once that's done, it will, so something here like if new instruction, act on the instruction, and report back to server. And that will just kind of continue to loop around there. Let me scoot this over away from behind me. Yeah. So that's simple on the surface. There's still the whole part of what it's communicating with, right? So that's another ball of wax where you know, that's going off over there, and it's got to do some communication, which is going to have all kinds of other things involved, like oops, text box. So there's going to have to be authentication. There's going to have to be database. There's going to have to be some interface for setting up the instructions, and you know, when the instruction gets called and all that kind of stuff. So, but let me keep that in outline. My mouse is sticking. But over here, create our own access point. We're hosting a web page. There's endpoints that are going to be called. And this is where it kind of falls apart for me too, because I'm trying to figure out what exactly we want to happen. So if let's say what is kind of the flow of what needs to happen here? Because I talked before about maybe consuming MIDI files, right? Because MIDI files would have all the information, basically. Note length, right? Note duration, note frequency, time signature, all that kind of stuff that is important for replaying some music. But we also talked about, so I'm still on the fence about that because I've never really dug into MIDI as a format before. Excuse me. I know, plenty of applications can consume it and modify it and all that kind of stuff. So it's possible. I'm sure there's information out there. I just haven't looked yet, really. But MIDI is an option. Also, we talked about some algorithms, and if we did that, there would need to be just like a button to key off of, algorithm 1, algorithm 2, to randomly generate something based off of some rules. So to do that, there'd have to actually be controls for setting up the rules. And then something to actually put together the communication string that would then be pushed to the Arduino, which would cause the Arduino to move whatever fingers it's supposed to move based off of what the algorithm returns. And that goes back to one of the hardware differences, right? So the ESP8266 is going to have its own firmware that we write, and the Arduino is going to have its own firmware, and those two are going to have to communicate with each other so that those two are going to have to communicate with each other, which is another difference between the two, because it's a long word, say talk. That's a big difference, because over here, the ESP8266 has a bunch of pins, and if all we're doing is triggering a pin high then triggering in the same pin low, we don't need a whole nother English is a strange language. It's another, but a whole nother. It's kind of weird because another isn't a word. It was another, but anyway. But because we can just set the pin high, then set the pin low to trigger the finger to move, we don't need another microcontroller. So we don't need that type of communication. But on the other hand, it does need to communicate with some kind of a server doing something. So, which is still hardware and whatever, eventually somewhere, right? Even all the stuff in the cloud, there's a server somewhere. Eventually it gets to hardware. So anyway, MIDI, I don't know. Need to look into it and see what we can do there. Some algorithmic stuff. There's still rules, there's still communication. And I'm not sure either if we need to be able to, like, tell it to stop playing. You know what I mean? Like, if there's some kind of stop command. Maybe, I don't know. But also then, I know I've toyed back and forth with the idea of having some kind of interactivity where, on the phone or on the screen on the computer, you can tap, press and hold, press and hold, press and hold, and they're actually moving fingers and playing chords and stuff. But using the web architecture like we are, I'm not sure how efficient or realistic it would be to have that real-time interaction. I don't know, but real-time interactions. But these are the three different basically play methods we discussed. And for sure want to do some algorithmic generation, but again we'll have to set up some rules and communication, and maybe it's possible that there's, you know, the web page has a form, and on that form there's a text area, and that text area you can send it or set up new algorithm to it whenever, without having to rewrite firmware and all that. Also, I just noticed I think my camera is set up backwards because my shirt looks backwards. Let's see, let me flip that and move myself over. Let's see. Is that better? Oh yeah. So now my shirt this evening says, "No, I will not fix your computer." I've probably had 4 or 5 copies of this shirt over the years. Let's see, did I move that as far as I could? Yep. All right. Cool. So that's where we stand right now. And I mean, I think that's we're in a pretty good spot. Oh, I didn't actually send the video change. Transition. There we go. Yeah. So anyway, so that's where we are. And I'm leaning a little more towards the Wi-Fi finger implementation, because honestly I think that'll be a little bit easier. But that doesn't necessarily mean we won't do the Wi-Fi piano player. I don't know, we'll see. But right now, what I want to do is see if we can set up some an endpoint and some AJAX calls on the ESP8266. And I'm going to save this so I don't lose this. Oh, get a good full screen shot. Oh, well. Oh yeah, that's cool. Nice. How do I now exit that? Ah, there we go. Okay. Huh, that was cool. The focused assistant. Neat. Alright, so, yeah, I'm gonna save that. On the D drive, and it's P8266. Make stuff. Notes. Cool. Alright, so let's think about how this is going to work. Pull up the Arduino IDE. Plug in the ESP8266. Power it up. And we should see, yep, there's Piano Player 2, the network. Haha, cool. Alright. And open recent server serial. Alright. And this was the web page. First off, I don't want it to refresh every 10 seconds. The uptime is nice, so I'm not going to take that away, but I am going to take away the brightness. And I'll leave the... No, I don't need that message. And that was going to serial. For now, that's fine. So what I want to see, first of all, is if I can write some JavaScript in here and it not mess up the HTML variable. So, let's go here to the end of the style tag. Script type equals. Now, to use the double quotes, I believe, yeah, let's escape that here. And this is, oops, text, JavaScript. Do I have to escape closing quotes? No, or not closing quotes, but the closing tags. I do not. Is that the right type? That actually might not be. I'm so used to using an IDE that some of this, it's almost like old world knowledge. It's not application. Yeah, what? Media types. Okay, I was correct. That's good. Oh, obsolete in favor of application JavaScript. Well then. See, like I said, I don't even know when some of these things change. Intended usage obsolete. Let's see, what does this say about application JavaScript? It's common since when? JS 15. I don't know if that's a version or what. Well, I don't know. Anyway, so application JavaScript it is. Who knew? Learned something tonight. I mean, I learned something most of these nights. Alright. So let's just right off the bat say alert. Hello. And these values had to be in order, and I took away brightness. We still have LED text, which was here. So let me do another variable here and say SP client. And this will be, oops, too far. A string. Verify that. I mean, JavaScript works in the browser the way it's going to work in the browser, right? I just want to make sure, I don't know, I want to make sure that it's, this is going to actually not mess up the way that ESP8266 is rendering the page and all that fun stuff. Ooh, I don't actually have the, says the port's not available. Oh, that's right, from last week. The little white wire is power only, not data. But I brought a different wire. There we go. Come on, little port. There we go, count 3, cool. Okay, now what was my actual error message here? H1 was not declared in this scope. Well, I didn't change that. That is very strange. Okay, let me pause this for a moment because I need to go to the restroom real fast. Even though I try to go right before I start. Give you a little background music here. Get some Quasar. And I will be right back. All right, sorry about that. So let's see. Error H1 was not declared in this scope. it's highlighting the HTML row. Expected primary expression. White space usually doesn't matter, but it doesn't hurt to check. Okay, I was gonna say I would expect to get it. Oh, missing the terminating character. Okay, right. So, open quote there. Open, close, and those are escaped. Open, close it / serial. Close it HTML. Maybe it doesn't like this text here. Let me put text, and up here, yeah. What, like, however long it is, I don't know, 20. It's probably less than that. Yeah, it's way less than that. 13. Is 13 way less than 20? I guess compared to something else, like 14. Okay. So that's setting alert text. And now there's no quotes there, so that should be better. I'm gonna put these on the same line too, just to save some vertical space since the text is so big right now, zoomed in. Let's see if that fixed it. Nope. Well, and the only thing that's being escaped are the quotes, not the other slashes, the forward slashes, or anything else. How about that? I bet that was ending the string before the string was actually done, right? Okay, now we're talking. Initialize your string for array of chars is too long. That's fine. Choose, was it string copy? Yeah, strcpy. Text. Try it again. How about that? Let's see. Hey, it's Zach. How about that? How's it going, Zach? Welcome to episode 25 of Jeremy Makes Stuff, live on YouTube, on the internet. I had a bathroom break just a minute ago. Sorry. Let's see here. So that worked. Cool. I'm going to send that to ESP8266. Zach says he feels quite welcome. Hey, Sajesh, you're still here. You know, this is interesting because, like I said, I got a Streamlabs update, and it doesn't show any viewers, it doesn't show any chat, but I had to pull up the YouTube window in another window so I could see that. So, 28%, 57%, 86, and 100. All right. Let me switch networks. Where's my mouse? There it is. We should see, it's still Piano Player 2. That doesn't seem correct to me. It should be Piano Player. I'm gonna hit the reset button just to make sure. See, did I lose the, nope, COM3. Alright. Let's see if I forget that one. There are a lot of networks around me. Let's see, Zach says, what are you doing with Arduino? Right now, nothing. But I am using the Arduino IDE to program the ESP8266, which is going to be the brain behind the piano, Wi-Fi piano player. And it will connect to an Arduino. But we don't have any code for the Arduino yet. But I know you meant the IDE was up. Right. Where's the network? Piano player. Alright, cool. And the password is Rocketman. Do you want to allow PCs to be discoverable? Yeah, that's fine. Nobody else is on this network with me right now. So I'm not gonna recap everything we've done so far here, Zach, while connecting, but I will show you. I know how much of a fan you are of Excel files, and Excel is part of the Microsoft Office suite, which also includes PowerPoint. So here is a slide in PowerPoint, and you have a few seconds to look at this. You can pause the video if you want to, because now it's gone. Alright, let's see. Yes, I am connected. Still weird, it says Piano Player 2. That's very, very strange. But, alright, whatever. Let's go to, what was it, 42, 42, 42, 42. Nice. Yes, so we do see the changes here that are made. The uptime's not moving unless we refresh. The JavaScript alert did not happen. That's disappointing. Let's view the source here. I'm going to put this in Notepad++. Oh, I thought maybe I could format it better. I guess not. That's fine. It looks like... Yeah, so I'm going to just replace every 2 spaces with carriage return /in/r. Place all. There we go. That was a little trick. But what we want to see is the script code. Ah! So, it did work. I just did a bad job. This is still a string, and it doesn't have quotes around it, so I bet, let's go back here. I'm going to open up the console window. I'll put this next to it. And yeah, if I refresh, it says uncaught syntax error because this is not a variable. It's supposed to be a string. So that worked. Well, the code worked. So let's see that and that. So I put quotes around it. Send it to the ESP 8266. And it's only 26% still. I mean, we've made a lot of changes here, added a couple of test endpoints and all kinds of stuff, and we still have a lot of space left, so that's cool. A lot of room for some algorithmic musical generation. Good water. This episode is sponsored by a blue cup instead of the pink cup. But the pink cup from last episode is still here. It's not the exact same cup. It was what I was drinking from yesterday, but anyway. Alright, that's there. Switch back to... It's very strange that the network name doesn't actually say what it should say, but that's okay. Like I said earlier, that may actually get fixed with I don't know, the bootloader firmware upgrade or something, because it's been a couple years. That sounded like a strange string of words that might not make sense. I've had this ESP8266 for about 3 years. I have never upgraded the bootloader firmware on it, and there have been some advancements. So it's possible some of the issues I've run into with like the network name not actually changing, or the buffer exploding at 50 characters could already be fixed. Hey, and there we go. Hello, ESP AP client. So JavaScript actually seems to work fine, and as long as it's valid code, right? So I had to terminate those strings. Cool. Okay, so let me see. I'd mentioned earlier about a nice little website. Let's see, called You Might Not Need jQuery. And bring that back. So this actually has the JSON examples. Here's an example of using a get, and it checks the status code and says whether it succeeds or fails. So I want to set up an endpoint, and just to test this, maybe based on well, I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, don't want something to fail, right? But it can be beneficial to test something failing as well. So we'll look at that. Switch back over. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to pull up is here. I'm gonna make a new endpoint. Find all the endpoints are defined. Somewhere, here we go. Okay. So we'll say server.on let's call this AJAX test. It's going to call the function AJAX test. And now I need to create AJAX test. And I want it to work very similar to the serial test. Where there's a response code. Here we go. We'll send back some information. What should the information be? What if, let's see, I know with the Arduino, you can get random data readings off of the pins. Just because, you know, say it's an input and there's nothing really connected there, so there's some air and there's some resistance and maybe some dust in there or something or whatever, and it can actually cause random values and stuff. Let's see. But that analog read for the brightness that we were looking at before, well, it was, yeah, it was always saying it was on. Or not on, but it was always reading as full bright, even though there were no, or maybe it was reading as full dark. I don't know which direction it went, but it wasn't moving, which kind of surprised me, now that I think about it. Alright, so I'm going to switch back to the internet. Connect. Say Arduino random number. Okay. Random will take a min and a max. Yeah, see here, the random seed is calling analog read 0. And it says random analog noise will cause a call to random seed to generate different seed numbers. Oh, okay, but it's only as the sketch runs each time, because this isn't the setup, right? Okay, that's fine. We'll just borrow that. Where's setup? I need to clean up the sketch a bit. I'm getting lost in here a few times. So random seed, random number, oh, too far. Where is AJAX test? Get a random number between 10 and 1,000, and then we'll send back the random number with a 200 OK. If the random number is greater than 25. Else, let's say error. Let me look up the HTTP error codes again, because I don't want to do 404 because it's actually there. 500 is fine. So if the random number is greater than 25, it's going to succeed. Else, there's some error and it's going to send back the number. Not exactly sure. Let's see. Well, the jQuery will get the response. So we'll see what the error part does. Let's see here. All right. So that is our AJAX test. And I'm gonna go ahead and wrap these, even though I don't have to. One of these, yeah, auto format. There we go. Okay, now I feel better. That suggests that auto format is like a one-time resharper thing. Fix all the spacing. No link queries in here though. I think that's a little advanced. So that was AJAX test. So now we need to add some code up here, HTML, and let's go after the uptime, after whatever S was. What was that? Oh, the LED text. Do another paragraph. Oh. That paragraph didn't close. And inside here, we will do what? Let's have a button. And then an area for some text to appear. Sounds good to me. So, oops, type, come on. What am I doing? Button value is test the AJAX, and below that just do a div, and I'm going to give this an ID. This div will have an ID. Response. So when this button is clicked, it'll make the AJAX call, and the response will appear here. So let's see. Since I'm not using jQuery to wire up the buttons, I'm gonna have to remember how to do the. Whoops, what was that? Oh. I lost the microcontroller. There we go. I'm going to remember how to do the on-click stuff. But a few years of depending on a library and just kind of get stuck there. On-click, and this will be JavaScript, and it'll be some function run AJAX test. And alright, so I'm going to get rid of this alert. Function run AJAX test. Okay, now I need to look at that example again. You might not need jQuery. I'm just going to copy this get boilerplate. Paste it in here. of auto formatter. And I'll clean this up to make sure you don't have anything funky going on. Okay, so this is going to call /AJAX test, and if it's a success, we get the response, and we need to get the div. You need to shove it inside the div, right? So let's see. I'm gonna check here on run any jQuery first and see about triggering buttons. Oh, okay. So it could actually set up the handler as the page loads. Cool. Alright, I like this ready function too. That's neat. Basically in jQuery, it won't run the setup code until the page is finished loading, because the setup code is usually referencing page elements or whatever, right? Form controls or something. Like in this case, where the div, well, if the div didn't exist yet and this code tried to run as it does top down, then there would be an error. But that's cool. There's handling a ready function. I like that. Let's see. Arrays, index of, blah, blah, blah. Nope. And let's see. In the elements section, don't want to add classes or anything, but it will append. So this response text will append to the element, but we need to get that right. Let's see. There's some get elements. Okay, let's get element by ID, I believe. Document I get element by ID, right? So here, document dot get element by ID, and whoops, I'm gonna try using the single quotes and do the compile test and see, make sure that is going to work. Then I won't have to do double quotes and escaping and all that kind of stuff everywhere in the JavaScript, which would be nice. Let's see, it was AJAX test response. AJAX test response. And then we want to append a child. No. I want to do inner text as the actual response message. And if we reach our target server but it returned an error, I'm not sure what we have at that point as far as what's in the request object. So this is if the value comes out as less than 25, it's going to fall in here. And again, we're just testing the failure, right? So I wonder if maybe, let's do basically a similar thing, but instead of response text, I just want to I'm going to stringify Yeah. JSON.stringify. And I don't believe I need anything else for that. Right, no. Okay. So JSON.stringify, just the entire request object. So whatever properties are there and whatever their values are, it will all appear there nice and pretty, I guess. Let's see. Oh, that's my window. Alright. Auto format again. Make sure this stuff is not lined up as I'd expect. Okay, cool. So it's going to call AJAX. Okay, we're going to click the button. It's going to call this function, which is going to create an XML HTTP request to AJAX test, which will get a random number between 10 and 1,000. If the status is 200, it was successful, and it will print out the number. And if it is not successful, it'll do the stringify the entire request object. Let's see if this code compiles without a problem. It does not. Oh, because I don't have the concatenation, string variable concatenation character at the end. Oh, all these JavaScript lines. Oh, we didn't do anything with the connection error, which is possible for us to have because I don't know what's going on here with the ESP server thingy. So let's do alert and stringify the request object. Or no, let's go ahead and do the same thing here as this, but tack on here request connection error. And then the request object, because who knows if it's ever what's going to happen here. This is where it gets fun. Rand number was not declared in this scope. Oh, sorry. Const string, conditional 06, string, that's on here. Okay, I need to convert random number to a character. Oh, just wrap it in good old char. Alright. Try that again. Still not right. Initializing argument 3. You know what? I will use. We're gonna have a message here, right? So string copy message. We're gonna number. Pass along a message here. And if there's some error here, I'll still just pass along a message. Do I have to convert that, or will string copy do that? Nope, string copy won't. What if... Just kind of shooting in the dark here. Nope. Okay, invalid conversion from char to const char. Oh, I see. Let's do the same thing here. Still didn't like it. Where's the top of the stack trace? Apparently calling the character converter there wasn't quite right. It says a value of any type. Let's see. Can't use string copy to properly swap character array. String copy, main copy, everything. Still didn't get the result right. I don't know what's going on there. When it says everything you know, you're trying to pass a char parameter where const char is required. Back at those converters. Can we use string instead? Yeah, looks like it. Here's an NL read, here's a integer. Do that then. String, oops, capital S string. Inverted number equals string and number, right? Yep. That and that. Can't convert string to const char. Okay. Clearly I'm getting tired because this is the exact same error. I just changed the type. So what I need to do is figure out what's going on with string copy. Let's see. Strings comparing strings. What's happening here? String compare. String has its constructors marked explicit, which means they cannot be implicitly called using code like this. Explicitly call it, use the constructor call method. Which I did there, and I didn't have a problem with that. So let's see, I'm putting a string into a char array. String or character array. Yep, that's what I'm doing. Copy the contents of the string to the character array. String.c. String, let's see. What is that? It's the C string equivalent, returns a pointer array that contains a null terminated sequence of characters representing the current value of the string object. Okay. Give that a shot. This is diving deep into the C and C++ stuff that I definitely don't use. Okay, the first one was fine. So this one, invalid operations of types const char 8 and const started by new operator 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know what? For now, I'm just going to take that away. But hey, learned how to copy a number into a character array properly. So that's good to learn. And now we used 1% more. Some stuff. JavaScript's there. Yeah, okay. I was ready. 57%, 85%. Switching networks. Come on. Aren't you connecting? Oh. Because the network's not really there? Where did my network go? Hit the reset button. I just noticed this mobile hotspot button. I'll have to look into that. See what my laptop can do. I swear Windows 10 is so slow switching networks. There we go. Alright. Back to 4242. Refresh. We should see a button. What's going on? Device has power. Check the serial monitor. And what is the baud rate? Or did I take all the serial monitor stuff out? I didn't think I did. Set up. Okay. 15,200. Still there. Okay. I'm going to reset again. There we go. Configuring access point. Alright. Ooh. Crashed. So this is what was happening for a different reason before, though. Exception and get a dump. Now, there is a way to read this exception message. First, I need to install something. Let's go back to the internet. Actually, first, let me look up the actual exception code and see if 28 is something like super crazy or not. Where's the exception? What are they, types? Yeah, causes, that's what it was. 28. Load prohibited clause. Load reference to page mapped with an attribute that does not permit loads. I don't know what that means. But that's okay. I can still install the exception reader thing. But just want to check and see. Close this. How do I install the exception decoder? Download from the release page. Put in the sketchbook directory and tools, unpack it, and restart the ID. Okay, I can do that. Got about 20 minutes left here. And I can't tell if anybody's hung with me since my chat stuff is weird, so I guess if you're still hanging around here, say hi. Okay, I'm gonna unpack this. Where did it say? Arduino sketchbook directory. I'm not sure where my sketchbook directory is. That's where I'm saving this. Which is where? Arduino documents. Okay. Tool folder. Oh, into the tools directory. Oh, I see. I just did that all wrong. Good job. So that's in home directory, Arduino tools. Yeah, so not here. Not. I think I installed it on the D drive. Where did I install it? Is it on the C drive? I've been trying not to install stuff on the C drive. Because it's smaller. Arduino. Yeah, it is on the C drive. No, that's the shortcut. Come on. There we go. It is on the D drive. Okay. So inside of tools, ESP, exception decoder, and then restart the IDE. Fire back up. And open a sketch and build it. Make sure this is the one that we just made the changes to. Yep, there's the ESP client stuff. So I'm going to verify that. When you get an exception, open Tools, ESP Exception Decoder Menu Item. This will open a new window. Paste the stack trace. I should have copied the previous stack trace. But that's okay. I'm pretty sure this is going to fail. So let me just connect and reset. Alright. Switch over to the network. Eventually. Alright. Pull up the old 42 for, oh there, it already crashed. Cool. So now open the sketch mode, should report exceptions. When you get an exception, open Tools, ESP Exception Decoder. Oh. Not found. That's odd. Make sure you use one of the supported versions of our Arduino IDE and have ESP8266 ESP32 core installed. Maybe I don't. I don't actually know. Which ESP library I have. A Node MCU library suggested. Try it again. some updates. Alright, let me see everything that is installed. Okay. ESP core? Nope. ESP32 core? Nope. Space core? Thinger core? Is that what I'm looking for? One of the supported versions. Well, what are the supported versions? It doesn't say. Wonder if someone has made an online version. Let's see. Yep, found the exception cause. There's 2 watchdog timers. Okay, let's see if it did it say which caused it to stop. It did not. And there's nothing down here about watchdogs. Boot mode 3.6. Previously, when it crashed, it was going to boot mode 1.6, which was the bootloader mode. Let's see, what is boot mode 3.6? Flashing tool. So these guys are saying maybe I need... these guys from years ago are saying that I might need the firmware update as well. Which really isn't a bad idea to take care of, since said it's a couple of years old. Let's just use some putty to make sure it's actually attached. latest firmware. Let's see, what is the latest version? Latest SDK. Hey, newbies start here. Let's see if they have a... This is all from 2015 as well. Not that that necessarily means the information is bad. Just hoping for maybe some later information, newer information. Alright, well this looks fairly involved. Update node MCU firmware. Let's look at the node MCU documentation. That anymore. Yeah, I don't know why the decoder didn't work either. Python-based open source platform, independent utility to communicate with the ROM bootloader, ESP8266. I don't mean to just be reading here quietly. Let's see, that looks about right for what I need, I guess. Okay. So I will download the Node MCU Pi Flasher. Self-contained Node MCU Flasher with GUI based on esptool.py and WX Python. Node MCU Pi Flasher doesn't have to be installed, just double click, it'll start. Check the release section. Alright. I don't have to build it myself. I will trust you. Where is... Oh, excuse me. Release section. Upgraded to 2.6 just a few days ago. I am 64-bit Windows 10. I don't know if I believe what's going on here. Wait, go back. Go back. Why would a GitHub link? Oh, that's antivirus reports. Okay. Huh. That was weird. It said there was a... This one detected a Trojan. Everybody else says it was clean. Alright. 64. firmware? It's fine. Wait, there's a don't run option, but there's not a run option. I'm gonna have to turn that off. Smart screen. Smart screen. I mean, how can I tell this that it's safe for me to run it? Unblock. Cool. Okay. So COM3. I don't have firmware. I need to get that. Baud rate, flash mode. What's the difference? Well, crud. Okay. Not all chips support all these modes. The data sheet is best source to know what it supports. Well, I don't know. I don't have the data sheet. Well, that guy used dual output and it worked for him. I don't want to erase the flash. So, where do I get the Node MCU firmware? From GitHub. From December, not too old. Do I just need the source, or is it going to want to flash a binary file? Yeah, that's not going to be what I need. I don't care to build it. Just give it to me. Oh, that's just the source code. Yeah, open source based framework or firmware. How to build, how to flash, how to build. That is involved. Well, I was hoping to find just a bin file. And it's about 10 o'clock now, a little after, yeah. think I'm gonna call it a night. Okay, they stopped giving pre-built binaries in December of 2015. So I'm gonna have to build my own, I guess. Let's see, what is this? This might work. See, that's the thing though, there's so many options here with these modules, I don't actually know which ones I'm using. It's saying click on the little manual icon to go to the module documentation if you're uncertain whether you should include it or not. Well, alright, one at a time here. I do not believe I need the ADC module. That's something to do with analog inputs. What is net? I'm just doing server sockets and stuff. TCP, yep, so I'll probably need that one for the website. Oh, SQLite. That's kind of cool. A database on the ESP8266. Timer, UART, Wi-Fi. This looks like the default stuff is pretty much okay. I probably don't need file system access, but I don't know. Yeah, no, that's all fine. So meantime, technical build stats. Okay. 28 builds today. A lot going on in Russia with the ESP8266. Almost the same as the United States, about 3,000 off. And China is a close third. Oh, you know what? Germany's number 1. With the US number 2. Russia number 3 and China number 4. Well, that is interesting. Alright, well, they're going to email me when my bin file is ready, I guess. It's a little after 10. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. For people that stopped by. I think we've got some good progress tonight, even though we're running into an error here. JavaScript actually works on the Node MCU through the web interface. We've got some the AJAX test set up here, and the AJAX test endpoint, and something's making it crash, but I feel like we got a lot of good stuff done today. Next week, I'm not sure if I want to do another off week and maybe record some music or something next weekend or next week, just to have a break from all this coding stuff. But I feel like this is gonna be nagging me in the back of my brain all week long. So I don't know. May just pick right back up next week, so don't lose any momentum with what's going on here in the code. But yeah, hey, converting a number to a string using C string here with C and C++. Learned something new there. That's cool. So, and I'm pretty sure this XML HTTP request stuff is going to work out the way we think. Just need to figure out what's going on. I don't know why it's crashing. So anyway, like I said, thanks for hanging out. Sujesh came by, Zach came by, you know. There's probably a few other people watching, and or you're watching it now, which is after now, but it's now for you. But anyway, yeah, so if you like what we're doing here, have any comments or whatever, please, leave the comments below. Questions, think I'm doing something stupid, I admit there's some wacky stuff going on here. Let me know what you think, if you like it, if you don't. Like the video, subscribe if you're interested in getting updates and stuff. And we'll see how it goes from here. And I'll talk to you next week. If I will make a decision between now and then, obviously, about what's going to happen next week as far as topic. But I guess it depends on if I'm able to get this flashed to the latest firmware and can get some stuff decoded or not. Whether that'll keep up my my interest, or if I need a break for a week on this stuff. So anyway, I guess wait and see. Yeah, so have a good evening and see you next week.
Here we go.